I know a lot of y'all have been wondering if there was any connection between Prince and Diddy and all the things Prince was exposing in the music industry, and allegedly, there actually was some sort of weird connection. One because of the deal that Diddy had with Warner Brothers, the record label Prince was fighting for, doing the same thing Diddy did for years, profit off the artist without giving them a dime and blackballing them for exposing him.
Music industry isn't being run by musicians, so it's being run by accountants and lawyers. So I don't know if they'd know real music if they heard it. What they're looking for is acts that are going to make the most money for them. It's not like we're against them or anything like that. The idea is that we find better ways of working with one another. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship.
Number 2, Prince actually lent his house to Diddy for his parties, but he never attended the parties himself because, allegedly, Prince had his suspicions about what Diddy was doing with freak-offs.
People are trying to get in that party. The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
Number 3, Prince's estate was also involved in a lawsuit with Jay-Z, who happened to be very tight with Diddy before his lawsuit. And the issue was that Jay-Z was distributing Prince's music on Tidal illegally. Well, unfortunately, it never ends well for the people who expose the likes of Jay-Z and Diddy. And record labels like Warner and Prince try to warn us. Get seated, loves, because things are about to get even more insane with all this Diddy madness. You see, the thing about Prince is that when it came to ownership of and control over his music, Prince waged a career-long battle against any company that he felt stood in the way of artists' rights and money. And allegedly, he paid the ultimate price for that: death. Whether Warner Brothers was involved with having him unalived or not is still up for debate, but a lot of fans definitely think that they were involved in his death. For a bit of background, Prince was signed to Warner Music in 1977, when he was just 18 years old, and even though the albums he released between 1978 and 1981 did not do that well, he was kept on the label as he was regarded as a musician that reflected well on Warner, which at the time was a company that appeared to invest long-term in serious talent. In 1982, 1 year after MTV launched, Prince released more music, and he went top 10 in the US for the first time, and became part of a new breed of musicians who understood the power of the music video as a way to market an artist and build their own iconography and mythology. At this point, fans were copying his look, and by 1984, with the release of Purple Rain, he was arguably the biggest and certainly the most exciting pop star on the planet. Now, since Prince was becoming a greater artist, he was able to set up his own label, Paisley Park Records, which was part funded by Warner, which also handled its distribution. But he started realizing that he was getting less than he deserved, and so he started fighting for his rights. I'm sure he thought it would just be as easy as telling Warner Brothers that he wanted out, but that was hardly the case. Warner Brothers frustrated him because that's what record labels do. Then in the build-up to the release of the Gold Experience, Prince and Warner were at loggerheads over both money and his music, so he decided to take the battle public by appearing with the word "slave" written on the side of his face.
The reason why it became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair.
His argument was that he was signed to Warner, and they, as a result, owned and controlled his name as well as any music released under that name. He also dramatically changed his name to that of the symbol, and was referred to as Symbol or Squiggle, or the artist formerly known as Prince. For some time, the battle with Warner became worse, and in 1999, in a Paper Mag interview, Prince even spoke about leaving the company, saying, "I wanted to buy my masters back from Warner Brothers. They said no, so I'm going to re-record them, all of them. Now you will have 2 catalogs with pretty much exactly the same music, except mine will be better. And you can either give your money to WB, the big company, or to NPG, you choose." In addition, he also spoke a lot about how the labels controlled him and other artists in many other interviews and at awards shows and so on.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules.
so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well, the majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God.
Prince was so serious about standing on business that in a move to reclaim his art on the internet, in 2007, he announced he was going to take action against YouTube, eBay, and the Pirate Bay for unauthorized use of his music, while Prince eventually regained ownership of his name and he worked out some sort of deal with Warner. But not long after that, he died under very suspicious circumstances. For those who recall when Prince died, the story was that he died at the age of 57 after being found unresponsive at his estate in Minnesota. At the time, health officials determined Prince died of an accidental fentanyl overdose after unknowingly taking counterfeit Vicodin laced with the highly potent synthetic opioid, and he was found in an elevator, the same elevator he called the devil. Of course, his death never made sense to anyone, because nobody could believe that the famously clean-living Prince died of a painkiller OD. The fact that Prince was not being treated by a doctor was very odd, as it seemed to be likely that to obtain tour dates, that would have to be an understanding that he would be capable of performing to prevent unexpected cancellations, especially at larger venues. Something else is that Prince knew they were coming for him, just like the machine has been doing over the years to people who tried to expose him. In fact, shortly before his death, Prince posted a picture of himself which also contained a since-deleted message, just when you thought you were safe. And he predicted his death not once, but twice. I mean, during his final appearance at a party at Paisley Park, just after his reported treatment and days before his death, Prince reportedly told attendees, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers."
It was a 2-second phone call. He's gone. I had been preparing for 2 years, so I knew that it was coming.
What does that mean?
He said it a couple of years ago.
What would he say?
What he said was, I've done everything that I've come to do.
Okay guys, as for where Daddy comes in, if you all recall, Diddy and Warner Group inked a joint venture deal that gave the record company a 50% stake in Diddy's Bad Boy Records label. Under the deal, Warner would market and handle digital and physical distribution of Bad Boy's catalog releases worldwide, and the label's roster of current and former artists, including Mace, Mario Winans, Notorious B.I.G., and P. Diddy himself. While speaking about the deal, Diddy even said, "There have been a lot of boutique record labels that come and go, and we are still here. This has ensured for the next couple of years that we have the right financial backing, the right financial structure, the right partners to remain a force in the music industry." The very same thing Prince had been fighting his entire life was what Diddy was doing to his artists. And do we really need to go through every former Bad Boy artist Diddy has screwed over? We already know that this list could go on for days, and allegedly, this is one of the issues Prince had with Diddy. What's even worse is that just before Diddy was hit with his first lawsuit, he has started giving publishing rights back to his former artists. And that includes Biggie, who signed to Diddy's label Bad Boy Entertainment upon its launch in 1993. But his former artists were saying that Diddy had already milked everything he could, and the rights he was giving back were basically worth nothing. In addition, like I said, Prince possibly knew about the freak-offs Diddy has having and chose to stay as far away from him as possible. I mean, Jason Lee recently said that the first Diddy party he attended was at Princess House, and a strange thing he realized was that no one was allowed to bring their own security to the party. Who knows, maybe after the party Diddy held at Prince's house, he realized exactly what was going on and cut ties. Now let's touch a little bit Did's former bestie Jay-Z and how he was involved with Prince, allegedly when Prince was having all his problems with Warner. At one point, he put his trust in Jay-Z because he thought that Jay-Z had the interests of his artists at heart. So he worked up a deal with Tidal, a streaming service substantially owned by Jay-Z's company ROC Nation. But in 2016, the administration of Prince's estate authorized NPG Records to file a copyright lawsuit against ROC Nation for putting 15 Prince albums on Tidal. The lawsuit said that Tidal was only given an exclusive 90-day license for a newly recorded studio album, Hit and Run, and that Tidal had committed copyright infringement by putting 15 Prince albums up on the streaming service. So basically, what people have been trying to say with this is that Jay-Z and Diddy are birds of a feather. Literally, two people cut from the same cloth, and they are both capable of doing the same things. According to many people, when Prince was cautioning people and artists about the machine, he was talking about people like Diddy and Jay-Z, Jay-Z, and just like many others before and after him, he had to go. But what are your thoughts about everything Prince tried to expose about the music industry? Do you think that's what ultimately led to his untimely death? Sound off in the comments section below.